You're watching Story Scroll. Real stories, raw emotions, and endings you'll never forget. Let's scroll into today's tale.
My wife cheated on me. After 3 years, karma hit her hard. I don't even know where to start. I guess I should start from the beginning. How I met the woman I thought was my soulmate, how we built a life together, and how, in a matter of months, I realized it was all a lie. I've been married for almost 6 years, together for nearly 10. From the outside, we were the perfect couple. I still remember the way she used to look at me, her smile, the little jokes only we understood. She was loving, loyal, my best friend, and I trusted her completely. I mean completely. I never checked her phone, never questioned where she was, never made her feel like she was being watched. I thought trust was the foundation of a marriage, and I believed ours was unbreakable. I worked long hours, building my career, trying to provide for us. She always said she understood, always said she was proud. But somewhere along the way, things started to change. She became distant. Late nights at work turned into girls' nights out. Weekends I thought we'd spend together, she had sudden gym sessions or appointments. When I asked about it, she brushed it off, blaming stress, telling me I was imagining things. And because I loved her so much, I doubted myself. Maybe I was being insecure. Maybe I was the problem. Then came the subtle red flags. Her phone was always face down. She changed her passwords and got defensive when I asked for them. I started feeling like I was losing her, like I wasn't enough, like I had failed somewhere along the way. Every time I brought up my feelings, she told me, "You're imagining things, you're insecure." I started doubting myself more and more. The guilt ate at me. I wish I could go back to that day when I discovered the truth. I don't know if I was lucky or unlucky that I stumbled across it. I was sitting on the couch and her phone buzzed on the table. A name I didn't recognize popped up. "Can't wait to see you tonight." My heart stopped. I froze. I tried to convince myself it meant nothing, that maybe it was just a friend being flirty. But then I saw the messages, the hotel plans, the way he called her "my love" and mocked me for being too boring. I overheard a call where she laughed at me, bragging about how she had managed to keep it hidden. It wasn't just one night. It wasn't even a week. The affair had been going on for months. Months. I felt like my chest had been ripped open. The woman I had loved more than anything in the world, the woman I thought was my best friend, had been lying to me this whole time. When I confronted her, I tried to stay calm. I wanted answers, not a fight. I wanted to understand why. She cried at first, soft and sobbing, pretending to be remorseful. But then she snapped. Anger replaced the tears. "It didn't mean anything. You weren't there emotionally. You don't get it." She admitted cheating, but she tried to minimize it, like it was a tiny mistake, instead of the betrayal that had shattered my life. As if that wasn't enough, I found out more. Mutual friends knew. They had all known and kept it from me. And she had been planning to leave me once her affair partner was ready, once he was committed. I felt humiliated, isolated. Everyone I trusted seemed to be on her side, or at least silent. The immediate fallout was brutal. I couldn't stay in our bed and couldn't pretend like nothing happened. I moved into the spare room. She assumed I would forgive her, that I'd wait for her apology and accept her back. Meanwhile, she continued to sneak around with him, thinking I was blind. I felt broken, numb, unsure of what to do. I loved her, but the love I felt was tainted by betrayal. Now I sit here staring at the mess she made of my life, wondering how someone I trusted so completely could turn into someone so cruel, so deceitful. I don't know if I should divorce her or if I'm overreacting. I still love the woman I thought she was, but I barely recognize the one who betrayed me. I just know one thing. I can't stay in this limbo forever. Something has to give.
Update. After posting my first story here, I was blown away by the comments. Thousands of people reached out, some telling me I deserved better, some warning me about her manipulative patterns. At first, I thought I'd confront her again, demand an explanation, maybe force her to confess everything. But the more I read, the more I realized Confrontation wouldn't fix anything. If anything, it would only give her more ammo to gaslight me, to paint herself as the victim. So I decided to do something different. I stayed silent. I observed. I planned. I started quietly gathering evidence, screenshots, old messages, financial records, anything that could give me a complete picture of what she had been doing. I traced the timeline of her affair, noting when the late-night calls happened, when she lied about work trips, and when she made excuses to leave the house. I even looked into the affair partner. Turns out he wasn't just some lonely guy she stumbled upon. He was married, engaged, or at least that's what I discovered through small online breadcrumbs and subtle inquiries. He wasn't serious about her. He was using her, feeding her ego while she thought she was being clever. Meanwhile, she grew bold, arrogant even. She started criticizing me openly, as if trying to assert dominance in the house she had already betrayed. She spoke about me in front of friends, quietly mocking my overreaction to her supposed mistakes. She treated the affair partner as if he were an upgrade, someone she deserved, while I was left waiting at home. She even mentioned a trial separation, as if we were negotiating a business deal rather than unraveling a marriage built on trust. For weeks, I watched her arrogance grow. Every smug smile, every careless comment, every fleeting touch with him, I cataloged it mentally. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I stayed silent and let her believe she was winning. Then the turning point came. I don't know if it was coincidence or karma, but her affair partner started to unravel. He ghosted her abruptly, stopped answering her messages, and eventually she found out he had been exposed at his job. All of the little lies she had built her confidence on collapsed in real time. I could see it in her texts, hear it in the way her voice cracked over the phone when she tried to reach him. For the first time in months, she was the one desperate, the one humiliated, the one powerless. And yet, she still thought she could come back to me. She cried, begged, and tried every line she thought would work. "It was a mistake," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I chose you. I want to make this work." But I didn't flinch. I didn't rise to her bait. I stayed calm, detached. For the first time, I realized she had finally understood that I wasn't going to forgive her, not like she thought I would. And then karma accelerated. Her friends, those who had stood silently beside her, started to turn on her. Gossip spread at her workplace. Her reputation, which she had carefully curated, began to crumble. The affair partner blocked her everywhere. She lost her social circle, her supposed support network. For once, she felt the isolation, the humiliation, the consequences of her actions. And I watched, quietly, almost numb at first, then with a strange sense of vindication. As for me, I felt a shift I hadn't expected. The anger that had consumed me in the early weeks faded, replaced by a calm indifference. I started going to therapy again, focused on my mental health. I went to the gym, reconnected with old friends I had neglected, and started building a life for myself, one that didn't revolve around her lies. For the first time in years, I felt free. By the time she finally realized the damage she had done and how completely I had disengaged, I was already one step ahead. She said she wanted to fix things, begged for forgiveness, promised she would never hurt me again, but I had already contacted a lawyer. I had already drawn the boundaries I needed to protect myself. The woman who had destroyed the trust between us was now the one left to pick up the pieces of her own life. I won't lie, it felt satisfying to watch her unravel, but more than that, it felt empowering to know that I no longer needed to fight for her love. I had reclaimed my own life, my own peace, and my own dignity. Karma did its work in a way I never could have orchestrated, and all I had to do was stay silent, stay strong, and focus on myself. I'm not happy about everything that happened. I still mourn the marriage I thought I had, the woman I thought she was, but I also know that I don't have to carry the weight of her betrayal anymore. The next steps, divorce, Closure and moving forward feel like a relief rather than a punishment. I've realized that sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation or vindictiveness. It's silence, self-respect, and letting the consequences fall where they may.
Final update. It's been months since my last update, and a lot has happened. If you've been following my story, you know my wife cheated on me, and after months of observing her unravel, I finally took the next step: divorce. I filed quietly, methodically. There was no drama, no yelling, no public spectacle, just paperwork, evidence, and facts. I knew she thought reconciliation was coming. She thought I would cave the moment she cried or begged, but I had changed. I wasn't the same man who had sat on the couch, stunned, reading those messages. This time, I was calm, collected, and prepared. The divorce proceedings were straightforward, but the fallout for her was anything but. The evidence I had collected over the months, screenshots, financial records, and a detailed timeline of her affair, destroyed her narrative. She tried to spin it, minimize it, even claim that I was overreacting. None of it worked. The truth was undeniable. She had no room to maneuver, no story that could save her from the consequences of her actions. Legally, karma hit her hard. Because of her infidelity, she lost any expectation of alimony. Assets we had shared were carefully divided, but she received less than she had hoped. I stayed fair, never vindictive, but I was firm. I presented the facts, the evidence, and let the courts do their job. No shouting matches, no public humiliations, just reality, plain and simple. The public truth came out too, though I hadn't planned for it. Our friends, some of whom had known about her affair, had started piecing together the story on their own. Family members, too, finally realized what had been happening behind the scenes. Messages of apology, awkward conversations, and long-delayed confessions came my way. Her reputation, carefully curated over the years, was permanently damaged. People who had once admired her for her charm and wit now saw her for what she truly was: manipulative, dishonest, and selfish. Of course, she didn't go quietly. She had a final attempt at reconciliation, an emotional breakdown I'll never forget. She cried, screamed, begged, and admitted things she hadn't before. "You were the best thing in my life," she said. "I ruined everything." She looked genuinely broken, and in any other context I might have felt pity, but all I felt was clarity. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't seeking revenge. I just felt nothing, because I had already moved past her. The final closure moment came quietly, almost unclimactically. I returned a wedding ring, the symbol of a life that had been tainted by betrayal. I looked her in the eye and said something simple, something that carried all the weight of months of observation and reflection. "I hope you find peace, just not with me." That was it. No yelling, no threats, no attempts to humiliate, just a calm, firm boundary and the realization that my life was no longer tied to hers. Life after betrayal has been unexpectedly freeing. I focused on myself, my career, my mental health, my friendships. I got a promotion at work, reconnected with people I had neglected, and began slowly exploring new relationships. I'm not rushing anything. I'm cautious, but I'm also happier than I've been in years. My self-respect is fully restored, and I carry no resentment, only lessons. Looking back, I realized that I didn't need revenge to feel victorious. Karma, silence, dignity, and boundaries did the work far better than any confrontation ever could. Watching her life collapse in the wake of her own choices was enough. It wasn't about getting back at her, it was about reclaiming myself. The biggest lesson I've learned is this: cheaters don't lose relationships, they lose futures. They lose the trust, respect, and support of the people around them. And if you give them time, space, and the truth, they often lose more than they ever imagined. I didn't win, I just stopped losing.
Thanks for watching Story Scroll. Hit that bell and stay tuned for the next story that will move your heart.